Welcome to Ask and Learn.
Hi there, so today I'm going to answer this question, which involves a few different questions about genetics, and we'll go through what some definitions mean. So when a condition involves the male and the female heterozygote, so that means people with two different alleles having different allele expression, so different phenotypes, even though they're both heterozygotic, what is that called? So we see male and female, and we know it's going to be one of the sex-linked options. So these are the two that stand out, either sex-linked or sex-influenced. Now, a sex-linked mutation is a trait in which a gene is located on a sex chromosome. So sex-linked would mean it was the X or the Y chromosome that the trait was on, whereas sex-influenced is where the sex alters how the phenotype shows, how the alleles are expressed, so what the phenotype looks like. So in this example, a male and female heterozygote having different allele expression, the answer would be sex-influenced. And an example of this is baldness. So in baldness, if you're homozygotic, say capital B, that'd be bald in either sex. Whereas if you're heterozygotic, then that would mean you were bald in males only. So here you can see this is an example of where the phenotype linked to being a heterozygote differs, whether you're a male or a female. And then if you were two small b's, then you would be normal hair in both. So hopefully that helps you to understand why this answer is sex-influenced. The next question, when a trait is governed by several different genes on different chromosomes, what is it called? So here, this is called polygenic. So a polygenic trait is one where the phenotype is influenced by more than one gene. So things that are continuously distributed are often polygenic, so things like height or skin color. You see like a continuous distribution with these, and they're often polygenic, meaning they're affected by a number of different genes across a number of different chromosomes. The next question, when the effect of one gene masks another, what is it called? So a gene that masks the phenotypic effect of another one is called an epistatic gene. So this would be called epistasis. That's the answer here. And the gene that it subordinates, so the gene that it takes over, is the hypostatic gene. So for example, the gene for albinism, so albino, people being albino, is a lack of pigment, and that's an epistatic gene. So there, if you have that gene for albinism, then that overtakes your other genes for things like skin colour and hair colour. The next question, when both alleles show up in the phenotype of a heterozygous individual, the trait is ? So here, it's clearly not either sex-influenced or sex-linked. We've talked about those. So it's between these two. And so the answer here would be codominant, because the question says when both alleles show up. So codominance is when a trait results from an allele that is independently and equally expressed along with the other. So an example of that is blood type. So someone that's AB blood type equally expresses both the allele they have for type A blood and the allele they have for type B blood. So codominance means you see both alleles in the genotype, both alleles in the phenotype, sorry, whereas incomplete dominance is slightly different. So that isn't seeing both alleles. That's seeing a mixture of the alleles. So for example, if you had one gene that was for a red flower and one gene that was for a white flower, incomplete dominance would be if you got a pink flower from that. Okay, on to the next question. Errors like monosomy and trisomy are the result of a mistake in meiosis called ? So first of all, let's define these. So these are both types of chromosomal abnormalities. And so trisomy is where a person has 3 of a particular chromosome instead of the usual 2 that you have of all chromosomes. And monosomy is where they have just 1 of that chromosome. and having either too many or too few chromosomes, so missing or extra chromosomes, is a condition called aneuploidy. On to the next question. Mutations that affect entire chromosomes or even chromosome sets are called. So these are called chromosomal mutations. So I think the question kind of gives you the answer here. So chromosomal mutations are mutations involving a long segment of DNA. And these can be deletions or insertions or inversions. And in some cases, the deleted bits might attach to other chromosomes, and then you can disrupt multiple chromosomes or chromosome sets. And then the final question is about the overall chance of triplets being born. And this is quite low. So naturally, triplets occur in about 1 in 10,000 pregnancies, whereas twins is 1 in 250. So they're quite a lot rarer than twins. Hope that helps. Thank you.